Welcome back to the garage, everybody. Of course, my name is Randy, and today we will be continuing on with the Turbo Miata build project. I have got the pistons and the crank in the block, and today I will be adding the oil pump. Like I said, I'm going to be working on an oil pump today, and the oil pump that I will be installing is this sweet unit from Boundary Racing Pumps. And the difference between this and an OEM pump is that the gears that are inside this pump are forged, so they will hold up to the boost that I would be making. If you are deciding to turbocharge or even supercharge your Miata, I highly recommend you get one of these pumps to save yourself, because this is a failure point when you are using the stock pump. Those gears have a tendency to crack, and if they crack, that creates a very big problem, because that means there is no more oil going through your engine, and you know what happens when that happens. So, like I said, I'm going to install this. Let's get to it. Alright, just to give you guys a quick side-by-side. This is the stock pump, this is the Boundary pump, and they look identical. I wish I could show you guys the gears on the inside, but that would involve taking these apart, and I really don't want to take it apart right now. I'm going to apply some assembly lube around this, and the reason why I'm applying assembly lube is because you have the seal in here, and you want this to slide right on without any issues. Quick little tip before I start putting the bolts in. This right here is the original bolt that goes in right here. Now, my car came with air conditioning, but I have removed it. This bolt will no longer be usable because it's way too long. So what I did was I went on Miata Mecca on eBay, and I was able to get one from a non-air conditioned car. So when you go to tighten this down, it will be the proper length. Now, you do need this bolt. Just don't leave this one out, because there is an oil passage behind here, and if you don't have this bolt, you will get an oil leak. Now that all of the bolts are in, go ahead and torque these down to 20 foot-pounds. Alright, after spending some time cleaning up my oil pan, the next thing I want to do is I need to drill a hole in this pan for my oil return. So I already have a 9/16 drill bit. I have my pipe barb fitting, and then I also have my 3/8 pipe tap. And what I need to do now is determine where I want my return to be. I think I'm going to make it about right in here. I made my mark here, and that way I know I'll have clearance behind here, so I won't hit the pickup tube. And as well, I can go ahead and get all of the shavings and everything else out of this, so that once I'm done tapping it, I'll be good to go. I have some multi-purpose grease here, and I am going to take the grease and lube up these threads really good. One, so it'll keep this lubricated as it's cutting it, and two, to help catch a lot of the shavings. Now comes the nerve-wracking part, which is actually drilling the hole. And as you can see, the grease caught most of those shavings. Now there is a couple on the table, but there's hardly any on the inside of the pan, so that actually works. So that's a good tip. Now the hole has been drilled. Next step is to use the 3/8 tap this hole with 3/8 MPT threads, and then I'll be able to use my barb fitting. I have my 3/8 MPT tap here, and I'm going to do the same thing like I did with the drill bit. Gonna grease up these flutes. What you want to do when you use this is to start a couple threads, then back off, then start a couple more, then back off, so on and so forth until you get it threaded. And what I found is 11/16 socket fits the end of this perfectly, so it'll make your tapping a lot easier. So it's 3/8 MPT on this side to a 5/8 barb fitting on this side. Now since it's MPT threads, it will not thread in all the way, it will not bottom out. So you just want to see about getting it started. So now my fitting is in. I'm not going to keep it this way. I just did this as a test fit to make sure that everything's going to be okay, and it is. So now, take this out. I'm going to go ahead and fire up my air compressor and blow this out with some compressed air to make sure I get all the shavings out of it. There's not a lot in there, but I want to make sure that there's any in here before I seal this all up. So I'll be back after I finish that. Now these are MPT threads. You could theoretically just screw this in here and there shouldn't be any leaks, but I am going to use some high temperature thread sealer because this is the last place I want to have an oil leak. So and done. Now I have my oil return for my turbo. So now that I have my oil drain installed, I need to next install, this is the rear main seal carrier that goes on the back of the engine. You have to put this on before you can install the oil pan. So I'm going to go ahead, I have a new rear main seal, and I'm going to go ahead, slide this in here, and then I'm going to use a mallet and place it face down on the table and tap it flat so it seats in here properly. Install the gaskets, and then I will put this on the back of the engine. And I'm going to use a little bit of assembly lube on the inside of this just so that it slides over the crank and there will be no issues. Alright, so I got the rear main seal in, and I went ahead and threw some black RTV on the back of this just to seal it up a little bit, and then I'm going to mount this to the back of the block, tighten it down, and then I can work on the gaskets. Now that I have my pan gaskets on, the next step is to go ahead and install the oil pickup. Don't forget the little gasket. Now remember, these bolts are going into aluminum, so just get them tight, but not too tight because you do not want this to crack. Pickup's on, everything's ready for the oil pan to drop on. Usually this is when you come with the black RTV and go all the way around. I am going to use this Permatex Right Stuff. It is a 1-minute gasket. This stuff sets quick, so I'm just going to drop a bead, go all the way around, making sure everything's lined up. Cool thing about like this is this cap screws on and it's got this little trigger, so you can just pan is on and everything's torqued down to spec, I have one more thing to add. And this is a magnetic drain plug from Blocks. I'm going to go ahead and remove this old one and put this one on here. Now that the bottom of the engine is all put together, I'm going to call it a wrap there for today. I'm getting really excited because it's starting to look like a motor again instead of just a bunch of jumbled parts. So that is keeping me motivated to continue working on it, and I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Make sure you are following me on Instagram as well. Make sure you guys are checking out my Patreon page. There is a lot of little small videos that I probably won't be putting onto this channel just because they're so small in length, but it's some really good information, so definitely go check out my Patreon so you guys can see all that. But for right now, I have been out here for a very long time. I need to clean up all of this mess, so I'm gonna get on that, and I will see you guys on the next one.